This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games!
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
I need 3 of those things, baby! We ain't done yet! We ain't done yet! You like that? You like that? I like that!
How's it going, Ruckus and The Menace Sports fam? You are listening to episode number 146 of the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast, and I'm Spence the Menace.
And I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
All right, and on this episode, we will be kicking off a little differently with our stud and dud and starting lineup.
Correct.
We have the good, the bad, and the ugly. The high heat involving the College World Series journey. Our color commentary. Another item that is not on our bingo card. And another round of challenge accepted, as new challenges will be laid out for Ruckus and I. And we are very much in the sporting realm as major championships are being contended for. And baseball is still in full swing. And last but certainly not least, the NFL is just a couple months away from kicking off. How we holding up, Ruckus?
Repeat the question, please. I was focusing on the primetime stuff because I didn't know if I made a challenge or not.
Oh, I said, how are we holding up?
I am I'm having the best life right now, and at the time of recording, this is the night where Kansas City just had a tornado warning over in Grandview, where I live, and I was at work at the time, so I work in the suburbs of Kansas City, so like the inner parts, kind of like in Shawnee, but I work near there, so it's like a 20-minute drive between Grandview and there. And I heard like, oh no, tornado warning in effect. So I was just I wasn't really panicked. I was just like, okay, how bad is it on my phone? Like, I'm looking at my Google Home app. I'm like, all right, let's look at the back. Let's look at the front. Let's look in the doorbell. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's just a thunderstorm. Nothing too major, but I don't know. It could be worse. I could have no power. I could be bickering about other things, but life is good. One other thing I'll add before I end this. I was the first player in history in the Rosedale Zombies League to throw someone out from second, because they were not really paying attention. And literally, I was just kind of like, so I'm like catching, right? So this is kind of my stance. It's like this knee right here is like the stability layer, and then this is just kind of like the strength, so like the concrete. So you got that. I'm catching it, right? So I'm like, all right, that's whatever. It was a ball of strike. And then someone says, throw a second. I'm like, okay, here we go. Just like, I saw the ball like go like, like it wasn't just like a missile. It was just like kind of like, and then it just, I just heard, he's out. I'm like, well, shit, like I guess he is, because at my angle I'm like trying to look at the other way, but it was at the time where you couldn't tell whether he was off the bag or not, and they said he was out, and I was like, well, shit, he's out. And then someone said, oh, that makes history, and I'm like, okay, let's just embrace it and then move on, because I didn't want to get too high or too low on that moment. All right, let's get back to the meat and potatoes.
Yep. And we are going to start with our stud and dud this week. And Ruckus, I will let you go unless you want me to particularly have to start.
I'll do the stud dud really quick.
Yep.
Because it has to do pretty much what I was just babbling on about earlier. But anyways,
Right.
the stud for this week, of course, is going to be Jack Caglione, one of the first Royals in history to get called up to the bigs in his rookie year pro ball, the somewhat legit way. Because there's like the transfer. I don't know how the transfer goes. If you just join the league, spend some cash to get into like the majors from football to major leagues, whereas Jack Caglione, he was a number 6 pick in last year's draft, and this rarely happens with the Royals. Usually we have like prospects like this develop year after year after year and then eventually get to the big leagues, and it's more hyped up in that sense. But sometimes those guys aren't ready. Apparently Jack Caglione is, and there were jokes upon jokes about how the St. Louis Arch was gonna be damaged because of all the dingers being hit over in St. Louis tonight, and I don't know what to say about that. But also, I noticed this history with Bo Jackson holding his crown, but in another way. Like I just said, he went from football to baseball. But my dud is a little bit more serious, but at the same time, I don't know if it was true because I haven't seen footage of it. But this is Arrowhead Stadium, the storm damage from the alleged tornado touchdown. It has been there have been talks about a potential tornado that hit near their like complex or whatever. I was trying to look for videos on like the tornadoes near that, like if someone was like holding like a camera as like a passenger or a driver, which I don't condone using your phone while driving, but shit happens. Anyways, I saw that and I was like, I didn't see any of this footage of this at all, so maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Maybe we just don't have video record right now. But Spinnis,
Arrowhead's not necessarily a very great place to hide for a tornado, though, because the likelihood of touchdowns happening with the Kansas City offense. But I would have thought Hurricane Swifty was going to destroy it faster than a tornado would have.
oh, you hush. You leave Taylor Swift out of this, okay? She worked long and hard to make sure that she had rights to all of her music and everything. So you shut your yap. She is not part of the... she's not the cog in the machine anymore, man.
You can't let me have a joke.
I mean, there are times where the joke just kind of goes into crickets, and I didn't want the crickets to chirp. I wanted to actually chirp. Okay, I was jealous of the crickets.
All I was saying is that I thought. Hey, all I was saying is I thought that would have done it first, but that's just the joke aside.
Yeah, there.
An honorable mention for my stud is Roland Garros in Paris for honoring a French Open legend in Rafael Nadal, who had won 14 in his career, with a ceremony upon his recent retirement. And they basically were, of course, chanting "Merci, Rafa" to Nadal and the mass recognition. I believe he also has a statue in the area too. So they have done a great job of really commemorating Nadal over there, even though he's from Spain and not France, but neighboring country. But my actual stud goes to none other than Tyrese Halliburton for leading the Pacers to the NBA Finals over the New York Knicks in spite of not winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. In Game 4, he had a 32-point, 12-board, 15-assist game with no turnovers, which I believe also sets some NBA marks for that type of game. And I will mention some things that were kind of going along the last time the Pacers were in the NBA Finals when we get to it. And then my dud goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers for being unable to make up their mind as to whether or not they want to try and trade with the Miami Dolphins for Jonnu Smith. Talk seemed to be off after they were on, and now they're on again.
I
So
mean, it's
like
kind of like with the Aaron Rodgers stuff too, like with the whole the Steelers are among the many to pick Aaron Rodgers. Like at that point, if I'm a Joker and I want to get Aaron Rodgers on my team, I won't pick Johnny Smith because he's not part of the Green Bay Packer formula of the past.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Sorry that I cut you off. I just thought I'd make that point.
I just was kind of saying it's like this is more like an on again, off again, really. Like a tumultuous relationship. But the Pittsburgh Steelers have lately shown that they are completely indecisive about everything.
Yep.
But let's go ahead and move on to the starting lineup and actually kick off the episode how we normally do. Although we started with the bookends.
Okay.
And I'll let Ruckus go ahead and start with the first one.
Yep. And so in the past with our podcast, I have said a lot of nasty things about Jim Irsay. They weren't like terrible. It was more that I just thought he had a bug up his butt about certain things. Like I didn't agree with certain things, but I also just kind of was reading the room a little bit with some of those statements. But I think Jim Irsay is very misunderstood. I think he is a very like-minded heart. Yes, he had some troubles with substances. I feel like, in general, most people do. And it doesn't matter who you are mentally. It takes a toll. I mean, I've seen it around me. I've seen it in places I didn't think were gonna happen. Like, who knows? But other than that, I'm not trying to say that Jim Irsay, I didn't like him. I just didn't understand his personality. But also, I'm glad that he was able to give his daughter some input on his businesses and whatnot while he's gone.
And on top of that, they look more than ready. They actually, I think, seem more than ready.
And they're also very confident because of the experience that Jim Irsay has shown and given to them. Like, that's very classy. And also, he was very good about bringing back funds to the community by doing, like, just, like, giving money to the fans, to, like, donating to charity, just giving back to the community in general, like, from what I've seen at least. Like, seeing that, yeah, you could have a bias of, okay, he's just trying to pay off for being an asshole this whole time. It's like, no, like, there are times where you want to switch things up a little bit instead of having another issue come up. Like Frank Reich, for example, with being fired, and then they put in Jeff Saturday. because he was a veteran mindset for the Colts culture in general, because he was with Peyton whenever Peyton won his first Super Bowl.
Yeah, his first Super Bowl was won in Indianapolis.
Peyton, right? Yeah. Peyton.
Yeah.
Peyton. I was trying to do that nationwide commercial.
Yeah. I caught where you were going with that. I was preparing to move. That was all.
Yeah. Anyways, let's keep going here.
And unfortunately, on a similar somber note, the host of Sports Science, John Brinkus, loses his bout with depression at passing away at 54. 50, 53,
Oh,
54.
I thought it was like natural
And this
causes.
dude,
I didn't realize it was like
no,
mental
it
health.
was a mental health one. Yep.
Damn, I
Um,
want to experience what was going on in his mind at the time just to see how
man,
crappy it
Brankus.
was.
But if you want to talk about someone who really brought science and how we relate to everything in sport, Brankus did a really good job with this presentation of sports science over the 3 seasons.
I just remember like a few seasons or like a few episodes, and those episodes were very like informative, but also just like a very cool way back then for someone young as me or someone that's just like getting started or trying to become more than just like an amateur at something like a sport or whatever. You see that and you're like glued to the TV instantly. That was me. Like that was around the era when PS3 was going on. Like it was starting to pick up, and I was just like, "Ooh, I am just glued to the screen because of how
Oh yeah,
interesting this is."
we were in high, or well, you were about 10 years old. I was in high school. So a lot more of the Brankus stuff, like I was a little older, but yet it was still such an intriguing fashion of how he brought information about bringing what you see on an everyday sport realm and breaking it down to the science behind it and seeing what levels of physics and force are brought in. The catch radius involving Larry Fitzgerald. I think there was one where he was talking about the microfibers in the bone from a kick, like somebody kicking and the fibers breaking and rebuilding to be able to kick harder. The cricket ball baseball one with Mark Reynolds. So there were a lot of different sports science notes that Brankus presented to the consumer that were very educational and very informative. And that's really the best way to describe it.
It kind of was like Bill and I, but more action packed. Like Bill's more like comedic, goofy, whereas this guy was like, "Let's do some extreme shit." It's like,
Oh,
all right,
the
buddy.
market. But also, I think Bill Nye's target audience was a little more toward children.
I mean,
And
you could argue that it was also towards children as well for sports science. I feel like that would be children based.
but I think a lot of the numbers that were used in terms of like pounds of force, that is definitely like, I think the target audience was definitely older for
Yeah.
Brankus. I think it was an overall older audience, but still made sense.
All right, let's keep going on.
Yep. Saquon Barkley is the new Madden 26 cover athlete.
Who was the last running back to be featured on Madden?
Now this is where you start going into my Madden lore of cover athletes.
Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey back-to-back years.
I was like generating that like an AI in my brain, just like trying to like get the gears rolling. I was like, okay, what was the last one? Oh yeah, I just played this one. Duh. But yeah.
I was actually working even further back. I think they were initially going to go for Barry Sanders. I think Barry Sanders did make one. Then Eddie George.
Who was the one that was on Matt? Adrian Peterson was on the one for like the 25th anniversary edition for the original 2025 or Madden 25.
Yeah, but Adrian Peterson was on the PlayStation 4 edition of it. He was on the next gen edition.
Who was on the current gen?
At the time, Barry Sanders.
Oh, that makes sense.
But then you had So you had Barry Sanders, you had Dante Culpepper, Marshall
Peterson
Faulk.
was on the Vikings at that point, right? Whenever they made.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
he was tail ending his Vikings time. But I think the notable running backs that have made the Madden cover, you had Barry Sanders, Eddie George, Marshall Faulk, Michael Vick's a quarterback, Dante Culpepper's a quarterback, Ray Lewis is a linebacker.
I think it was very cool that they
Sean
picked an iconic
Alexander,
moment for Saquon.
Sean Alexander,
Sean Alexander.
Sean Alexander. Vince Young was a quarterback. Brett Favre was a quarterback.
I laughed kind of hysterically when I saw the
Wide
Bill
receiver.
Belichick edition.
Peyton Hillis. Peyton Hillis is the other.
Yeah. Did you see the memes for Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick for Madden? Or I think it was probably a college football one where I think it was like the Simp edition or the Gold Digger edition.
Oh my goodness. No. No, I stayed out of that water.
Well, she's definitely not allowed in any relation for North Carolina, so you're welcome.
I think that was actually just a rumor. I think it was actually just a rumor. I think she actually.
They made it sound like she was kicked out. They're like, no.
I think they retracted that like the next day.
Well, that's news to me, I guess.
Our next notable story is that the Stanley Cup Finals begin with the Florida Panthers taking on the Edmonton Oilers.
The Kachucks versus the Oilers.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this time I'm rooting. Florida just won it. I'd like to see it go to Edmonton.
Oh, Canada. Hey.
I'm gonna say I think it's gonna go to Canada. And the Seattle Mariners will be retiring number 51 for the big unit, Randy Johnson / Ichiro Suzuki.
Also tied to the big unit as a murderer. No, I'm just kidding. Well, he kind of did kill a bird in Arizona that led to a World Series.
Yeah, if you want to have the Arizona Diamondbacks make a World Series, just have a pitcher throw a baseball and actually hit a bird.
Yep. And then we have a shout out for some newcomers to this channel. Thank you, Jeremy Miller and Bronx Bombers, for the subs. Helps us out a lot growing our channel. We want to eventually get somewhere big and do more of this stuff for fun and interact with you guys. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I've been kind of a little down when it comes to content on this channel, but at the same time, I also just felt like I was spending a lot of time on this podcast with the extra content and just felt like I didn't have enough time. But now I feel rejuvenated, I feel good, but it was also just a lot of things going on in the process of all this. But thank you guys for sticking with us.
I just was finding ways to keep the wheels rolling.
I was, because like at some point with this every other week thing, it's really nice to like accumulate the content rather than fish for shit that isn't there and then like trying to make an hour out of it. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
It's not like we have like the NFL season is our hotbed.
It is, and also like baseball around the beginning point and then the midpoint, and then like when it gets to almost postseason time, we'll talk more and more about it to NFL, which is a good transition. And
yeah,
even if it's not something related to what we're normally doing, like golf or soccer, like I don't really care about soccer because I think it's kind of boring, but I feel like if I probably watched it with like people around me, I'd probably enjoy it more. Golf is, dude, that's like in first place, and then second place is like how it's made for old people to like fall asleep to.
Yeah, and I think also the summer has also given us more time to actually. I mean, granted, I've also been making content, but we've also been touching grass.
Yep, can confirm.
Yep. And we now can go into some channel housekeeping before going into the Eastwood segment.
One more thing though, we're at 35 subscribers. I forgot to mention that. But let's keep it going. I want us to get to at least 50
right.
by the end of the year. 50 would be great.
All right, some channel housekeeping. Podcast episodes will return to air July 2nd, which means we will be recording July 1st. I will be traveling in a couple weeks to Atlanta. So, Ruckus and The Menace podcast fans,
Please meet Quavo.
if I can end up
Get us famous, man.
Well, if you're in the Atlanta area or also a gamer going to the Southern Fried Gaming Expo, I am going to be down there, and I will be at Truist Park on Juneteenth for the Braves taking on the New York Mets. And then we'll also be down there for the Southern Fried Gaming Expo all weekend, Friday through Sunday. I will be back up in this way, be back up into the Beltway probably about 3 weeks from now. And we will not run an episode on the 24th because that's generally our off time. And then we'll return July 1st. Challenge accepted. We have this week's challenge accepted that will air next week during our off time. And will also return alongside the podcast episodes returning to air. However, all of my content that is still remaining has already been recorded. Already been scheduled for this window. Road to the Show will continue as planned on Tuesdays and Fridays. Redbird Restoration finale is this coming Monday. And Swung On and Belted, the new March to October, will premiere on June 16th. So, you are still not going to be at a shortage for stuff I am bringing to the table.
Which, by the way, props to you for the amount of views you're getting on those external videos outside of the pod.
We're hitting, we've actually been hitting some good strides. If we actually really look into it. Today was a Road to the Show day, and yeah, I got a little bit there. I got a little bit on the part 1 of the World Series.
I started doing a franchise on my own time with the Royals just to see how they would do on veteran difficulty.
Yeah. I mean, my Padres closer got 17. Our challenge acceptance got 12 views. My call up episode got 48 views. My compound interest episode got 27 views. Let's see. Lift Small, Bunt the Ball is still over 100 views, and then the conclusion of the regular season was in the 50s. So Ruckus actually beat me out on episode 2 of Challenge Accepted with his "Don't Make Me Point at Pete."
Because that was the name of it.
Yeah, but we've had a lot of success over this stretch. I mean, I still am going to say my best Road to the Show stuff was the openers. But we've we've definitely picked up a lot of ground. Really, especially over the last like 4 or 5 months. Really, the last like few months has been huge.
Dude,
In how much
the way I look at
traction it's
life,
starting to-
the way I look at life now is more so like when my bills are due. I'll be like, okay, what do I need to pay for this or this or this? So it's like literally my
Yeah.
mindset is just survival.
Yeah, I basically am like, okay, let's get through the vitals. But then I'm like, okay. I'm like, my mindset at this point, I was like, where do I need to be as far as projects to be able to then also touch grass and enjoy some other things to stay ahead. I plan to be through the month of July for all content before leaving for Atlanta. I plan to go that route. I plan to be through all of my content for the month of July before I even hit the road.
Good for you, man. All right, are we ready?
Yep, let's move on to the Eastwood segment of the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Rolling it.
You know what we really need for
Whoa. Dude, we just need a picture of this and then just like flash it for a second and then put it back. Should that be the segment?
I was talking for challenge accepted whenever we have like that official announcement of it. We need one for Barney Stinson.
It'd be cool, like if I had like a toy revolver and I was going like, and had like the whole cowboy outfit and everything. Just for the pod, I just wear a cowboy outfit with like a Casey hat. That'd be kind of, dude. That'd be iconic. Like holy shit, we just thought about that like on the fly on the podcast. This is what the community is for. That is our chemistry at work, folks. Okay. Anyways, what's good in sports this week?
Our good for this week is small market teams in the NBA Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. I mean, granted, the Oklahoma City Thunder have been around the NBA Finals since really the mid-2010s. However, the last time the Pacers were in the NBA Finals the Pacers had Reggie Miller.
Yep.
The first time since 2000. Gas prices were only about $1.26 a gallon. What was at the top of the music charts? In R&B was Aaliyah's Try Again, Santana's Maria Maria, and NSYNC's It's Gonna Be May also was notable. Yes, the very song that you hear so many memes about on April 30th.
They faced the Supersonics, didn't they?
What, the Pacers?
Yeah, back in the day, wasn't it the Supersonics?
No, they played the Lakers in that final.
Oh, see, I was like trying to get with the times on Google, and Google's like, "Oh, by the way, you want to see some Pacers versus Thunder?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." That is far from it. But
Okay. So, streaming was virtually non-existent.
Oh,
We were
yeah.
still burning CDs. And dial-up still existed.
I was playing Ratchet and Clank with my dad.
Second year of operation. In 2000, like actual 2000?
Well, I'm just
only
saying,
about
like,
2 or 3.
well, I was just saying, like, later on, I was probably playing Ratchet and Clank, but yeah, let's keep going. Sorry, I was probably sucking my thumb at that point.
So movies-wise, in 2000, around the time that the Pacers went to the NBA Finals, the first Gladiator was still in box office. There has been one made since. Mission Impossible 2. Mission Impossible, the 8th Mission Impossible movie just came out no more than a few weeks ago. By the
Yeah,
way, for the record, really good movie. Netflix was barely a year old.
dude, American Psycho in 2000 was really good.
At Blockbuster still existed.
Mike Judge could actually make good films. Because he made Idiocracy in 2006 and, of course, a few others later on. But speaking of which, his show was, they were talking about the launch date for that is August 4th on Hulu. I don't know how to feel about it, but we'll see.
The last time the Indiana Pacers made the NBA Finals, here's the other fun one. Tyrese Halliburton was in diapers. Yes, Tyrese Halliburton was no more than an infant.
So he didn't even know how to say dad yet.
Exactly. He was only about a few months old when the Pacers were last in the finals.
What's bad in sports?
After the Knicks fall to the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, the front office pulls the trigger, which I believe both Ruckus and I were saying way too soon, and fired Tom Thibodeau.
I don't know both. I think, if anything, because I think the last coach that coached for them before Thibodeau was Mike D'Antoni, right? Or was it someone?
No, D'Antoni was back in the mid 2000s. D'Antoni was back in the mid 2000s.
Monty Williams?
No, the last long-term, the last head coach that was not an interim base was David Fizdale. But at the same time, the last coaches that really had a lot of traction there with the Knicks, you had Pat Riley, and then Jeff Van Gundy was the last one to get him to the finals. Yeah, Van Gundy was, I think, the last one to get him to the finals.
Yep. I don't know. I think it was probably time because he had 4 years to figure things out, but also the teams weren't probably gelling as well as this one was, but
minus the amount of injuries that the players seem to pick up. And go
to me,
through,
the Knicks are kind of like the Mets.
Thibodeau's trajectory was still going upward.
I mean,
He
yeah.
was still trending in the right direction.
So, this might...
And I'm sorry, Jim Dolan's an idiot.
Here's my take on that. So, I think Thibodeau looks like one of those pawn shop owners, sleazy pawn shop owners that will make a sketchy deal with you in the back streets or whatever, like in New Jersey. Whereas if I wasn't racist to Thibodeau there,
no, James Dolan just looked like a dude that would give you a Ponzi scheme.
Hey, yo, you want to buy a watch?
Yeah,
don't buy it. For fakes.
He has been far and away one of the dumbest owners in sports. He has been far and away that nobody. He's just an owner that right now nobody likes. This kind of right now, he's kind of in the same parallel as previously Dan Snyder, Jerry Jones. I think the owners of the Phoenix Suns. You're at the point where it's just, as an owner, your fan base doesn't really like you.
I don't know about that much, but what's downright ugly this week?
Oh no! Right around the time when the Knicks were still terrible. Oh yeah, there was a lot of Dolan hate. But the downright ugly in sports this week was none other than information about the person who threatened Lance McCullers Jr. on social media earlier this year had been revealed. And apparently it was an intoxicated sports bettor. Again, another reason why I believe that sports betting ruins the integrity of sports itself.
I agree. Also, it also is kind of ugly in sports this week. The Stephon Diggs stuff with the 2C.
Oh yeah, he's a Stephon Diggs is just a character right now.
Well, I heard a report that said that allegedly it was like a fake prop for one of like the female rappers. I think it was Cardi B or someone that was making a music video, and I guess that was like the theme of it or whatever, and he was just posing for it. I don't know. That could have also just been a troll. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that also just doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good.
All right. Are we ready for the high heat, or
Yep.
am I going to have to bring it to you?
The high heat is ready to launch, and it is the college baseball tournament. I mean, the Women's College World Series, you're down to Texas Tech and Texas for softball. Now we're at 64 teams for college baseball, and now only 16 remain. The top two seeds of during the selection process have already been bounced in regional play, as Vanderbilt and Texas were both knocked out. The teams remaining for the Super Regionals are as follows, and these are the matchups that are set in a best-of-3 format to go to Omaha. You have Louisville taking on Miami, as in the U, not Miami, Ohio. Florida State and Oregon State. North Carolina, Chapel Hill and Arizona. Auburn and Coastal Carolina. UCLA and UTSA, as in Texas San Antonio.
UTSA. Wait. Hold on. What?
Yeah. So Louisville knocked off Vanderbilt, and Miami, Florida knocked off Southern Miss. UTSA knocked off Texas. You now have Duke and Murray State. WVU, who knocked off Clemson, and LSU, and then Arkansas and Tennessee. The only matchups that have absolutely ranked teams remaining are Arkansas and Tennessee with the 3-14, Florida State, Oregon State with the 8-9, and Auburn and Coastal Carolina with the 4-13. I think we've got some fun series coming up. As LSU was the 6th seed, now they're going to take on West Virginia. And these series will start this Friday. WVU and LSU, though, are playing on Saturday, and that game will start out. And actually starts out in Baton Rouge, because it's the Louisville Super Regional, the Durham Super Regional, Auburn Super Regional, Los Angeles, Corvallis, which is Oregon, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Chapel Hill, North Carolina. No, it actually will stay in Baton Rouge, but WVU will be the home team. So it'll stay out there. So it won't go to Morgantown.
Damn it.
Yep. But yeah, there's quite a bit of fun that's going on with this, and I'm looking forward to seeing how much further this goes along the way.
Yep. And then I guess now we're going into our color commentary.
Yep. We will now move to the color commentary. And it is takes again. And we've really been kind of holding tight to the NBA, and we'll get to the NBA. Actually, I think we start with the NBA takes.
Yeah, screw it.
Yep. The first hot take we have is that the Oklahoma City Thunder are not only a scary team in the NBA right now, but I think they will continue to be scary for years to come. And I think this could even come with multiple championships.
I think it's a bit of a hot take, but here's the thing. I think they do have a chance of doing that. It's just not as proven. It's kind of like whenever Mahomes wasn't as proven in the league and then showed what he really could do and then managed to get a Super Bowl in his one Super Bowl in his first 3 years of being in the league. Like Shea Gilchrist Alexander could probably do that feat, but I don't know if he needs to carry, is the thing. Like, do they add to the team? Because that could be big for them. But also just how do they evolve over time is the thing. Because with the other franchises, like the Golden State Warriors had like a big cohesive like big 3 or 4 people, and then eventually they were like, oh, we need to add to that or add fuel to the fire, and that was with Kevin Durant later on. But like, you just gotta, I think it's a hot take because it's kind of soon, but at the same time you don't know when the thunder will hit because it's gotta be lightning before the thunder.
Okay, the most experienced player in terms of who has finals experience going into this series, the one with the most experience is none other than Pascal Siakam.
Mm-hmm. He's the most recent with the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, he's an NBA and he's a champion. But I think, so there's a lot of first timers in the NBA Finals, and this is a good thing. But I think both of these teams have the Pacers are an older core as far as their bigs. I mean, you got Siakam at 31. I mean, TJ McConnell's 33. James Johnson's 38. But you've got Miles Turner, who's not 30 yet. So I think that the Pacers are full of veterans.
Yeah.
And Rick Carlisle is a solid coach. Mark Daigneault is, I think, overall I think he's a younger guy. Or I haven't really heard as much about him prior to what this Oklahoma City team has been doing. But this Oklahoma City team is 68-14 for a reason.
They're good. I just want to see more improvement from it.
Oh. How much further do you really have to go upward for the Oklahoma City Thunder to have that cemented?
Well, it's like the second time other than when they were facing not the Heat, right? Or was it the Heat versus?
Well, the Heat had Westbrook, Harden, and Durant. That's
what I was thinking, but I just couldn't remember if the Thunder were in the Western Conference, because I knew the Heat were in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Oh. How did you not know that the Thunder were in the Western Conference?
Well, they're number one, a newer team, in the regime, but also I don't really keep up with the NBA, so sue me.
They were a relocated team from Seattle. They were a relocated team from Seattle. Of course they were
Again,
going to be in the Western Conference.
it's been a while, and I don't really follow the NBA because I feel like at this point in time, the NBA feels more like the WWE. Like you got like big names and they do things, but they don't really do a whole lot, and it feels kind of fake sometimes. Like that's just me. Like their talent could be used more than what it is used on offense. Like do some defense every once in a while, please. Don't just let someone.
This is the time of year where defense is at its premium. Like,
But it
this
should
is where the
always be at a
defense is being up.
premium. At least I think it should be. Like it always should be. Like you should be doing best on offense and defense for your teams. That's how it should make things more interesting on the field. There's probably a reason why the NBA is less on the totem pole when it comes to like those primetime games because no one really cares.
If you're wanting intense defense in the NBA, you actually have to cut the season by, yes, I am going to say it, at least half.
Because they play 82 games.
Yeah, it's 82 games. And intense defense and load management are going to be are big things in the NBA. They need to shorten the season in order to keep players on the floor.
I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit of rest here and there, but I feel like they either need to regulate more or closely the fouling that's going on, because sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, you touched a guy, foul!" Like, eat shit, dude. Like, I don't know how to take that as a NBA fan. Like, I feel like it's kind of soft nowadays with the fouling and whatnot.
Well, it's not like the 80s and 90s where you could get away with a lot more physicality in the paint.
Because that's what the NFL is trying to eliminate too. With that is like less like damage from contact and whatnot. But like in the NBA, it feels kind of like a little bit too much. Is the point? But anyways,
and I am going to cut one of those out. So I think our last hot take is going to be in the NFL.
Yep.
And Mike McDonald has scoffed interviewers saying that at the notion that Sam Darnold may not be the starter. But here's my hot take, or here is a hot take for you. Sam Darnold may begin the season as the Seattle Seahawks starter, but do not expect him to end the season at that same position in the depth chart.
Well, I have Jalen Milroe or Belrow.
Yep. Jalen Milroe.
I think, if anything, Sam Darnold, for the money they paid for that man, they might as well get their money's worth out of him. And of course, this guy probably had a more blunt version of, hey, we don't know if this guy's gonna be good for us long term, but he'll at least last till the end of the season or until we have to replace him.
Here's where you're at. This is what the offense looks like for the Seahawks. And we're talking the weapons. You have Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet at running back. It's JSN, Cooper Kupp, and MVS as your wide receivers. And Noah Fant as your tight end. Do you really think that Sam Darnold is going to be very effective in getting any of these guys the ball?
Maybe.
Sam Darnold was, and I'm going to say it, And this is another hot take. Sam Darnold only got this contract at Seattle because Justin Jefferson, as a wide receiver, backpacked him. Yes. This is a Justin Jefferson aided and abetted contract. I mean, Jordan Addison's good too, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But Justin Jefferson last season, 103 receptions, 1,533 receiving yards, and 10 touchdowns. Yeah. This just tells you the type of receiver and quality of receiver that Jettas is.
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy is going to have a decent season as long as he stays upright.
I think.
Why? Because Justin Jefferson is such a valuable weapon.
Yeah, I think, and my end thoughts for Darnold is he'll probably begin the season and end with them. Like, you don't want to rush success in some circumstances, but sometimes gotta do what you gotta do. But I think
He's not. I don't think he's going to end the season as a starter.
we'll see.
I think Jalen Milroe is going to get some time.
All right, what do we got now?
And the item that was not on our bingo card, entering this month of June, the Colorado Rockies entering pretty much at rock bottom, only having 9 wins as opposed to 50 losses. And the Rockies actually are, although the Rockies are currently winning right now, they finally got their 10th win. They finally got their 10th win yesterday.
They got their 10th win.
Yeah, they finally crossed 10 wins yesterday.
And
So
now
they
we're
went
at
through the
50 losses.
Yeah, it's 50 losses to 10 wins. But they only had 9 wins going into the month of June.
That's really, really bad.
I think your audio quality is getting shaky and really, really bad.
That's because I'm trying to do the rock bottom impersonation of the bad.
Oh.
You didn't catch that earlier?
I couldn't catch.
They
Like, I
they
wasn't
just
here-
got to 10
I wasn't.
losses.
Yeah, but I wasn't hearing like the actual sound effect.
Oh, you didn't hear the fart sound? Damn. Okay. Okay, Studio
No, it wasn't.
Beta. We got the NVIDIA
wasn't
Broadcast
coming-
Studio mode beta, just not picking up my
It wasn't
fake
coming
farts.
through very well at all.
All right.
All
And
right.
then our prime time, I don't know what we're
Yep.
doing.
We are going to be closing out with the revealing of our new challenges for Challenge Accepted. And Ruckus, you are going to go. Well, no, you're on. I'm on my channel. Well, Ruckus, it's inverted, so you're going to be on me for challenges.
So I thought we would probably do a couple holes of mini golf on Tower Unite. I just didn't know what we were going to do about that.
We're still doing a DD. We're still doing
Okay.
a DD.
All right.
Yeah, all of these are going to be Diamond Dynasty until we get possibly a little closer to Madden time. Then I think we can try and think of think of some Madden challenges.
All right.
possibly.
So my challenge for you. Uh, you. Let's see. God damn it. Trying to think of what else I would want to do. I was thinking either the slowest player or you just have to have someone that's super non-athletic, like super slow on your team, but also has a lot of power. But
I mean, I have a ton of cards that can do that. I already have a ton of cards that can do that.
oh, how about this? Start with the worst pitcher you have, ranking wise.
So I have to wait. So you're saying that the only thing that I have to do
You
is throw my lowest overall starter.
but it also has to be whatever you have in your possession as far as just in general on your account. So you have to go by the lowest of the low. It's not just lowest on the ranking of whoever you have on your pitching mound on Diamond Dynasty.
Okay. So I am going to have to look this up to see if I can do this. Okay.
It should be easy. Just the lowest ranking pitcher. Like it doesn't have to be like exact. Just whoever you have that's the lowest on your roster, like of players that you've accumulated. It's not rocket science.
Oh, so you were actually saying like you actually want me to throw my lowest overall starting pitcher that
Yes,
I
that
have.
is allocated to your account.
See what Let's see what that actually has become here. Well, I have a 52 overall starting pitcher.
All right, that's all you need. Just see how long you can
Yeah,
go with them.
and I
So I
believe that
want.
actually
Okay. So actually, for that challenge, I want you to go a full 6 innings with him.
you want me to throw. All right, so the requirement here for me, you are saying that I have to throw
Yes.
yeah, and the lowest overall starting pitcher actually is the guy that I have, and he is a complete free agent.
I was trying to think of also extra points I could give you, but I think. Um. How about this? How about every strikeout you make at the point? It has to be a strikeout. It can't be a pop up or an out. It just has to be a strikeout.
So I'm getting bonus commit to the bit points for strikeouts.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Ooh, so now you. So I have to. So this is. This is going to be very, very annoying. So, which type of restriction are you preferential for? A lineup restriction or a gameplay restriction?
I didn't have any problems with lineup restrictions, so if you want to bust my balls, you can. I don't care.
Well, you are going to get this restriction. This is the most recent one that I have created. In the reference of Pokemon, you are getting the challenge called Choice Band.
Or I had to pick my starting Pokemon to go with.
No. Okay, so a Choice Band in Pokemon. What this does is that, yeah, the attack gets boosted, but you are only locked into one move. However, this is MLB The Show. So, what this is that for each inning that you are on defense, your pitcher can only throw one pitch. One pitch for the entire inning. So in short, if you have a four-seam fastball, if you're using a pitcher that throws a four-seam fastball, you can only throw for that inning a four-seam fastball.
Okay, so like, if I started with a pitch and it swung and missed, I have to keep using that pitch to get through that at bat and that inning.
You have to keep using that. You have to keep using the same pitch for the inning.
All right, bet.
The only way you can change pitches is
Change of bat, pitcher.
Or is an inning change or a pitcher change.
And that pitcher that I use, if I choose a certain pitch, I have to use that pitch through that inning to get out.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So your pitcher can only throw one pitch, and that is and it is also. So in short, you are locked into the first pitch you select.
Okay.
Yep, you're locked into the first pitch you select. The only way you can change pitches is to either get out of the inning or actually change pitchers. So I think the name for your
I think yours is gonna be Rags to Riches, and mine's gonna be You Got That Kid, because in a sense, it's like if you pitch that pitch, you gotta pitch it no matter what. You got that toots or kid?
Yeah. The actual name of your challenge is actually named after the Pokemon item, the choice band.
Okay, yeah, true. Yeah, you're right.
That was actually, yeah. So you're actually naming mine Rags to Riches.
Yep.
And the only thing I have to change is actually throwing the lowest overall starter in the game.
Yep.
Challenge accepted. This one.
That was a bit of a delay there.
I'm looking at this. I'm like, you have. Minus the bullpen game where I lost due to some bad RNG of placement of pitching and having a fielder drop one, looking at this and I'm thinking like this, like I have not been severely handicapped. Like I am giving you like I think my challenges on paper to you have been harder. I think they have been like more. They have been more.
I think
I've been putting you on more restrictions.
I think if anything, I've just adapted to it and then just tried to like force things to happen. Like, I think you gave me more fuel to the fire when it came to the same pitch for that inning, because I think I could probably force that option on the pitcher and or swap to another one. Like I don't have any other power restrictions, because literally you gave me the keys to the kingdom with that one. You could have said, "Oh, but they had to be this certain rank."
Oh no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm giving you. Yeah, I'm not giving you a restriction as far as like this is a game. Like this one here is a gameplay restriction. And yes, you technically have a way out. But realize that if you keep abusing your way out, you're going to be out of pitchers.
Yep.
So I have put you into, so yes, it does put you into a little bit of a conundrum of you got to be careful of how you want to change out pitchers.
Yep. All right. I think this episode is done.
Yep. And this will do it for episode number 146 of the Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast. I'm Spennis the Menace.
And I am Ruckus, always cousin of Ruckus.
And these challenges will air next week at the same time that we would normally have this episode air on a regular week. And until the next one, deuces, everybody.
See ya.